Hey little dreamers! Ready for a magical bedtime adventure? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a sleepy tale. Let's go! Tonight, the stars hang quietly above a grand old palace, their silver glimmers painting stories on the garden paths below. The moon, round and gentle, casts a soft glow on the sleeping roses, each one curled tight like a dream not yet told. All is still, all is hushed, until a soft creak of footsteps breaks the silence. A young prince tiptoes barefoot along the stone path. He's not supposed to be awake, but sleep has been running away from him again. He carries a tiny lantern, its light barely more than a firefly's glow, and his robe sways around his ankles like a breeze in velvet. He doesn't know what he's looking for, only that something has been calling him out here. Around him, the royal garden stretches like a maze of perfume and moonlight. Roses bloom in neat rows, and statues of past kings seem to blink in the shadows. But one flower, just one, glows. The prince stops. There, in the corner of the garden where the moonlight falls the strongest, a single rose shines. It doesn't flicker like a torch or sparkle like jewelry. It glows from within, as if it holds a candle tucked deep in its petals. And just beneath that soft light, the rose moves. The prince leans closer. His heart skips, because this is no ordinary bloom. It's humming, not with sound but with feeling, like a secret waiting to be heard. And for the first time in many nights, the prince forgets to be lonely. He steps off the path, closer to the glowing heart of the garden, and everything begins to change. The prince crouches beside the glowing flower, the dew-damp grass cool against his knees. His lantern dangles loosely from one hand, forgotten. The other hand hovers in the air, just above the petals, hesitating, unsure. The rose is unlike any he has seen in the royal gardens. Its petals are pale blush and ivory, each edged with the softest gold. They shimmer faintly, as though moonlight itself had settled between the layers. And from its center comes a warmth, not hot like fire, but comforting, like holding a teacup on a cold morning. He tilts his head. The rose pulses gently, the light in its core rising and falling like a heartbeat. Breath. The prince whispers, "Are you alive?" And then, without warning, the rose sighs. It's the faintest sound, like the wind brushing a curtain. But it's real. It comes from the center of the bloom, soft and sleepy, as if something or someone is trying to wake. The prince gasps and stumbles back, but the rose doesn't react with fear. Instead, the petals curl outward just a little, like it's stretching beneath the stars. A faint swirl of golden dust lifts from its center, rising into the night air and circling the prince's head. It tickles his nose, smells faintly of jasmine and something else he can't name, something warm and sad. He steps forward again, slowly this time. He reaches out and gently touches the edge of a petal. Warm, live. The rose trembles, and then, in a voice so soft he almost misses it, a whisper curls up from the center and floats into the night. "Please help me." The prince's eyes widen. His heart begins to race. The rose just spoke. The garden holds its breath. Not a leaf stirs, not a single cricket chirps. The only sound is the gentle rise and fall of the prince's breathing, and the echo of that voice. Fragile, like a song sung far away. He leans in, holding his lantern close. The rose seems to respond to the light, petals glowing a little brighter. From within its center something stirs. A faint shimmer moves beneath the surface of the bloom, like a shadow behind silk. "Who are you?" the prince whispers. The answer is just as quiet as before. "I don't remember. Only that I'm not meant to be a flower." The prince blinks, his brows drawing together. You're not. No, the voice replies. I was a girl. Think. A long time ago. Or maybe just last night. Everything is blurry, like dreams just before you wake. The lantern flickers. The rose glows warmer, pulsing like it's trying to stay awake. There was a spell, she continues, cast upon me when I was very small. I only bloom at night. And when the sun rises, I sleep again, deeper, darker, like a stone sinking in a pond. One day, I may not wake at all. The prince's hand clenches at his side. He knows what it feels like to disappear in silence. What can I do? He asks. The rose breathes again, lighter this time, like the sound of wind passing through lace. Stay, she says. Just for a while. I haven't heard another voice in so long. He sits beside her, without another word. The rose glows softly at his side, and for the first time in years, both of them are not alone. The prince sits cross-legged in the grass, his robe pooling around him like midnight velvet. The rose's glow has dimmed slightly, not from fading, but from settling, like she trusts him now, like she's letting her guard down for the first time in forever. Tell me about the spell, the prince murmurs, voice barely above a hush. The rose quivers. Her voice rises again, a bit steadier this time. It was cast when I was born. I was just a baby, swaddled in white petals at the edge of the forest. A witch came in silence. She was ancient, and her heart had grown twisted like old vines. She feared beauty that could outshine her, so she cursed me. The petals tremble as she speaks. The light in her core flickers, echoing her memories. She whispered words into the wind. The rose continues, and those words wrapped around me like roots. I would grow, but only at night. I would speak, but only in whispers. I would live, but never be seen. The prince lowers his gaze. That's awful. I don't remember my parents, the rose admits, or what the sun feels like. I know only the moon and silence and dreams I can't finish. Her petals curl slightly inward, as if shivering. The prince gently touches one of them with the back of his finger. You don't sound like a flower, he says. I'm not, she replies with a soft, sad laugh. But no one has ever stayed long enough to listen. The boy looks up at the stars. They glitter like tiny lanterns. Watchful, waiting. I'm listening, he says. And as the petals flutter softly in the moonlight, the rose breathes a little easier. The garden wraps itself around them like a soft blanket. Crickets beginning their sleepy song, wind rustling through the ivy-clad walls. The prince leans back on his elbows beside the glowing rose, gazing up at the stars. He's quiet for a long time. You know, he says eventually, you're not the only one who feels trapped. The rose hums gently in the dark. What do you mean? Prince sighs. Everyone thinks being a prince means you can do whatever you want. But really, everyone just watches. Every step I take, every word I say. I'm not allowed to play in the mud or chase clouds or even cry when I want to. I'm supposed to smile all the time and sit up straight. He plucks a blade of grass and twists it between his fingers. They dress me like a doll and call me Your Highness even when I just want to be called by my name. I walk through the castle and feel invisible, even though everyone's looking at me. The rose rustles softly. That sounds lonely. It is, the prince replies. My voice echoes in the halls, and sometimes I think I hear someone answering. But it's just the wind. She's silent for a moment, then whispers, Maybe that was me. The prince turns his head toward her, eyes wide. I've listened for years, the rose says gently. To birds, rain, to your voice when you talk to yourself beneath my branches. I wanted to speak back, but the spell. It only lets me speak when someone believes. The prince smiles for the first time all night. Well, he says softly, I believe. And in the hush between them, something fragile begins to bloom. The moon climbs higher, casting silver ripples through the leaves. Time seems to slow in the garden, as if the night itself is pausing to listen. The prince lies flat on his back now, hands tucked beneath his head, while the rose glows softly beside him, her light pulsing like a heartbeat in rhythm with the stars. Tell me a story, the prince says. The rose rustles with amusement. I don't remember many, she admits. But I'll try. Her voice is like a lullaby carried on wind. There was once a spider who spun webs of music, she begins. Not to catch flies, but to catch dreams. The threads shimmered with lullabies, and children who walked past would fall asleep with smiles on their faces. The spider only worked at night, because dreams don't bloom in the sun. The prince closes his eyes and listens, smiling softly. Then one day, a storm blew through the forest and tore all the webs down. The spider was heartbroken. But a fox, who had once dreamed of flying thanks to those webs, came back with a spool of silver thread and said, Let's build again. He pauses. And they did. The garden is still. I like that one, the prince murmurs. It's yours now, the rose replies. Stories don't belong to just one person. They bloom in the ones who listen. The prince sits up and shares a story of his own, about a bluebird who refused to fly south, choosing to stay with a sick tree through the winter. They take turns like that, trading tales, whispered between yawns and falling petals. And somewhere between one story and the next, the air begins to change. Because dawn is coming, and the rose is starting to tremble again. The prince notices it first, the change in the air. The warmth around the rose fades slightly, and a chill creeps across the garden path. The leaves above rustle more sharply, as though caught in a breathless whisper. The rose quivers in his hands. What's wrong? He asks. There's a pause. Then her voice, low and urgent. She's waking. A gust of wind swirls through the hedges, curling into the open space where they sit. It carries the scent of burnt lavender and iron. The lantern flickers, then goes out. And in the sudden dark, a shadow rises from the heart of the rose like smoke escaping from a candle. The shape takes form. A face, long and crooked, materializes in the darkness above them. Hair like tangled roots, eyes clouded and gleaming. The prince holds his breath. The witch. Her voice is neither loud nor soft, but it presses into the air like heavy fog. You dare wake what I have bound, she hisses. The rose's glow dims to a faint throb. She didn't ask to be cursed, the prince says, his voice trembling but steady. The witch sneers. She was born with beauty too bright, too fragile. The world does not love things it cannot hold. I do, the prince replies. The shadow wavers. She has until sunrise, the witch says coldly. If her heart beats in full by then, if someone breaks the silence with truth and chooses her not for beauty, but for bravery, the spell may crack. Then, just as quickly as it came, the shadow vanishes. The garden exhales. The rose shudders in his hands. I'm afraid, she whispers. The prince tightens his grip, gentle but firm. I'm not, he says. Not while I'm with you. And the night grows quiet once more. The garden settles into silence again, but not the peaceful kind. This silence feels taut, stretched like a thread about to snap. The prince glances at the rose, whose light now flickers faintly, as though each glow costs her something. Tell me, he says, his voice barely a whisper. What happened the night the witch cursed you? The rose hesitates, then begins. It was a night not unlike this one. The moon was full, the air thick with the scent of jasmine. I was born beneath a rose bush, the petals curling around me like a cradle. My parents were kind-hearted villagers. They named me Lysaria, after the ancient word for light from the flower. The prince repeats the name quietly. Lysaria, she continues. When I was still a baby, the witch came. Some said she had eyes that could see the threads of destiny. Others said her heart had been broken 1,000 times and turned bitter as ash. The petals curl in slightly, her voice dimming. She saw me glowing in the cradle and she frowned. She said, "Too bright, too lovely. Beauty like this is not meant to last. It will be wasted on the world." The prince frowns. "But why curse a baby?" "Because fear twists love into control," Lysaria says softly. She believed if I bloomed only at night, no one would ever truly see me, that I would grow in silence and fade alone. The prince swallows hard. But she was wrong. The rose hums faintly in agreement. "She feared what was delicate," Lysaria murmurs. "But delicacy is not weakness. A single petal can teach someone how to hold gently." The prince looks at her, eyes burning with quiet resolve. "Then I'll prove it," he says. "Before the sun comes." The wind hushes, and even the moon seems to hold still. The prince kneels before the glowing rose, her petals trembling softly in his cupped hands. The golden light inside her flickers, uncertain but still alive. "I won't let you vanish," he says, his voice clear and steady. "I promise." Lysaria's glow brightens at the edges. "But the witch said the spell will only break if someone sees me truly, not as a rose or a mystery or a beauty, but as a person. And if they choose to help, not because they must, but because they care." The prince nods slowly. "I do care. I want to help. Not because you asked, but because I see you. I've felt what it's like to be unseen." Oz. Then the rose, almost in disbelief, whispers, "You believe I'm still a girl?" "I believe," the prince says gently, "that you are more than any spell could make you." His words settle like a warm blanket over the garden. Something unseen stirs in the air, like magic leaning in to listen. "I've read stories," he adds. "Curses broken by swords or potions or kisses. But none of that feels right. Not for you. This feels deeper." He glances at the horizon. Still night. But the stars are beginning to lean westward. Time is slipping. "What do we do?" he asks. Lysaria hesitates, then says, "There's a hidden path under the garden, the moon's path. It leads to the place where the spell was cast. If your heart is true, the path will open for you." The prince rises, cradling the rose close. "Then we'll go together," he says. "And we'll end this before the sun wakes." And with that, he steps from the soft grass onto the stones, and the garden begins to glow beneath his feet. The moment the prince's foot touches the old stones, the ground beneath him stirs. Thin silver veins of light unfurl across the walkway like spider silk, winding between the garden tiles. The lantern in his hand flickers to life again, not with flame, but with the same gentle glow that pulses from the rose. Lysaria's voice trembles, both with fear and hope. "It's opening. The moon's path. It remembers me." Before them, the neatly trimmed hedges shift. Vines unwind. Stone roots part like curtains. What was once solid is now hollowed, revealing a glowing tunnel that slopes gently downward, carved from earth and old magic. The air that spills out smells of lavender and moss, and something older, like the inside of a forgotten lullaby. The prince glances behind him, just once, at the garden under moonlight. It seems to nod at him, as if giving its blessing. He tightens his grip around the rose and steps forward. The path is lined with stones that glimmer like moon shards. Strange symbols glow softly underfoot, pulsing with each step, as if measuring the weight of his promise. Above, tangled roots form delicate arches, and tiny white mushrooms blink like stars between them. "Where does it lead?" the prince whispers. "To the oldest tree in the land," Lysaria says. "The place where I was cursed, and where it might be undone." Their voices are hushed by the space itself, the tunnel breathing in slow, steady sighs. Shadows watch from behind mossy crevices, but they do not threaten. They simply observe. And with every step, the prince feels lighter. Not because the journey is easy, but because it finally has meaning. Down and down they go, toward the sacred heart of the garden, where moonlight has never faded, and where truth waits, blooming quietly in the dark. Path narrows. What was once a gentle tunnel of moss and glowstones becomes a corridor of brambles. Thorned vines twist along the walls like coiled serpents, their tips glistening with silver dew, or something sharper. They shimmer when the prince draws near, hissing in the airless dark. He slows his steps, lifting the lantern. "This part wasn't here before," Lysaria murmurs. "Or maybe it was. But I never came this far." The vines respond to her voice. They stir, retracting just slightly, as though hearing something familiar. The prince inches forward. With every step, the path seems to test him. A root shifts underfoot. A sharp vine leans toward his cheek. But he doesn't stop. "I'm not afraid," he whispers, more to himself than the shadows. "Not if it means saving you." The brambles curl tighter ahead. Taller, darker, their thorns like claws. Then, at the very heart of the corridor, he sees it. A wall of tangled roots, thick as his arm, barring the path forward. Prince pauses. "What do I do?" he asks. Lysaria's voice is soft. "They're not meant to be fought. They're afraid like I was. They need gentleness." He kneels and sets the rose down on the ground, cradled in a patch of soft moss. Then he lifts both hands, palms open, and speaks. Not a command, but a comfort. "I'm here in peace. I won't hurt you." The vines tremble. Slowly, hesitantly, they begin to shift. One by one, the roots pull back, curling away like frightened animals coaxed from hiding. A narrow opening forms. The prince gathers Lysaria again and steps through. Behind him, the path closes. Ahead, a warm golden light pulses like a heartbeat. The Tree of Echoes is near. The tunnel widens into a hollow unlike anything the prince has ever seen. It is a vast chamber beneath the earth, lit not by torches, but by the gentle breath of glowing mushrooms, glistening moss, and golden dust that floats like slow-falling snow. In the center stands a tree so old, so wide. Its trunk touches the cavern ceiling. Its bark is etched with glowing symbols, and its roots stretch outward like the arms of a resting giant. First it seems asleep. Then it exhales. The entire chamber shifts, as though breathing with it. From the center of the trunk, a ripple moves outward. A face, ancient and wise, emerges from the bark, not carved but living. Its eyes are hollowed pools of amber sap, its brows furrowed by centuries. The prince takes a step forward. "Are you the Tree of Echoes?" he asks, voice soft, respectful. The tree answers slowly, its voice layered, like wind through leaves and gravel beneath foot. "I am that which remembers. Speak, child of the crown. What echoes do you carry?" The prince holds the rose gently in his palms. "This is Lysaria. She was cursed as a baby to live as a rose, hidden and alone. I want to break the spell before sunrise." The tree is silent for a time. Then, all magic leaves an echo. All curses cast shadows. To undo a spell, one must first understand it. The amber eyes pulse. You must prove your heart is true, not in word but in deed. There are 3 petals missing from the heart of her bloom. Each can only be earned through acts of kindness, honesty, and courage. The prince nods. I'll do whatever it takes. The tree closes its eyes. Then the first trial begins now. Chamber shifts. The test has begun. The cavern ripples like a pond struck by moonlight. The prince stumbles back as roots curl and rise from the floor, forming 3 archways ahead, each one pulsing with a faint, otherworldly glow. Above them, etched in shifting bark, are 3 glowing symbols. A feather, a swirl of wind, and a mirrored eye. Lysaria, nestled safely in his hands, whispers, "The feather is for kindness, the wind for gentleness, and the mirror for courage." A voice, both from the tree and beyond it, echoes through the chamber. To restore what was broken, you must give what is rare. Not gold or treasure, but truth of heart. Only then will the lost petals return. From the base of the tree, a small golden pod unfolds. Inside lies a single shimmering rose petal, pale pink with veins of silver, glowing faintly. The prince reaches toward it. "Not yet," the tree says gently. "Earn it." The arches shimmer again, and one glows brightest, the one marked with the feather. A soft hoot echoes through the leftmost tunnel. "That's the first," Lysaria whispers. "Kindness." The prince takes a deep breath, lantern in one hand, the rose in the other. "I won't fail you," he says. The tree of echoes gives a slow, rumbling creak that might be a blessing, or a warning. The prince steps beneath the feather-marked arch. Vines close behind him, and the world shifts once more. He finds himself in a new glade, still beneath the earth, but lit like twilight. Trees twist upward, and from a nearby thicket comes the sound of struggle and feathers rustling in pain. The first trial has begun, and the prince's kindness is about to be tested. The glade is quiet, but not peaceful. Somewhere to the left, there's a soft, pained fluttering, wings scraping against thorns. The prince follows the sound, pushing aside low branches until he sees it. An owl, large and speckled white, is caught in a twisted bramble. One wing is tangled tight, the thorns digging into soft feathers. The bird turns its golden eyes toward him, wide, wary, but not angry, just afraid. The prince kneels slowly. "It's all right," he says. "I won't hurt you." He sets Lysaria down in a patch of moss where she can still see him. The rose pulses faintly, as if holding her breath. Carefully, the prince reaches for the thorns. They're sharp, biting into his skin as he tries to loosen them. One by one, he pries them away, murmuring softly with every touch. "You don't have to be scared. You're not alone." The owl flinches once, but then settles, as if sensing his intent. Blood dots the prince's fingers, but he doesn't stop. Finally, with one last gentle pull, the last thorn snaps free. The owl's wing unfolds, still shaky but whole. The bird blinks at him, then leans forward and taps its beak to his forehead. A soft shimmer blooms where the touch lands, and in its place, a glowing rose petal appears, drifting down like a snowflake into the prince's hands. The owl spreads its wings, whole now, and takes flight, vanishing into the canopy above. Lysaria's voice is warm. "You didn't hesitate." The prince picks her up, cradling her and the petal together. "Kindness doesn't wait," he says simply. The glade fades, vines unfurl. The tree of echoes calls him back. 2 arches remain, and the next symbol, the swirl of wind, begins to glow. The prince steps beneath the second arch, the one marked with a swirl, and the air changes instantly. It's cooler here, softer, and scented like rain on dry leaves. The tunnel gives way to a clearing where nothing touches the ground. Leaves float, pebbles hover in place. Even his hair lifts slightly as if the air itself is breathing. Lysaria glows faintly in his arms. "This is where the wind lives," she whispers. "It's not like the others. It listens more than it speaks." At the center of the space stands a great stone, smooth and still, except for the whirling breeze circling it. The air spins faster, forming into a delicate shape. Faith, a childlike figure of translucent mist, with drifting hair and swirling ribbons for arms. Its eyes are like tiny cyclones, beautiful and sad. The wind child doesn't speak, but it trembles. Around its feet are shattered feathers, broken kites, a bird's nest tossed from a tree. The prince approaches slowly. "Did someone hurt you?" he asks. No reply, but the wind spins faster. He kneels, setting Lysaria safely nearby. Then, without speaking, he begins gathering the broken things. A snapped feather, a bit of yarn, a torn ribbon. He hums, a soft lullaby from childhood, a song about clouds drifting and stars listening. As he hums, he pieces the nest back together with gentle fingers. He strings the ribbon into a loop and tosses it lightly into the air. The wind catches it, blows. Then, like a sigh, the wind child floats forward. Its form brushes the prince's cheek, cool and kind. A petal of shimmering air detaches from its chest, spinning down into the prince's hands. The second rose petal. Lysaria glows warmer, and somewhere the wind child smiles. 2 petals now. One trial remains, and the mirror is waking. The final arch waits, its glowing symbol, the eye inside a mirror, pulses like a heartbeat. The prince stands before it, quiet now, holding the 2 petals in one hand and Lysaria in the other. He says nothing. The silence between them is steady, like they both understand what's coming. Some fears can't be chased away by stories. Some have to be faced. He steps beneath the arch. The world goes still. No roots, no wind, no whisper of life. Only a vast, circular chamber with a tall mirror at its center. Elegant, silver-framed and still. The surface is not glass, but shimmering like water. Lysaria's voice finally returns, soft and uncertain. "This trial is different. You can't fight what you see. You can only face it." The prince approaches. At first, the mirror shows only his reflection. Pale face, green eyes, tousled hair. A boy trying to be brave. Then it shifts. Now it shows him dressed in royal robes too big for his shoulders. Surrounded by courtiers who speak but never listen. His crown heavy. His smile forced. Then another shift. Him at a window, watching children play while he sits alone, aching to join them but unable to leave. He clenches his fists. A final image flickers into view. Him walking away from the rose. Leaving Lysaria behind, the sun rising, her petals wilting into shadow. He gasps, "No, no, I wouldn't." The reflection stares back. Lysaria's voice is a whisper. The mirror doesn't lie, but it doesn't decide. You do. Tears sting his eyes. "I'm not perfect," he says. "I'm scared, but I won't run. I won't leave her." And with those words the mirror cracks, not violently but gently. A sliver of light slips free. A third petal drifts down. The final trial is past. The chamber trembles with quiet magic as the third petal lands in the prince's open palm, warm and soft as breath. The mirror behind him has gone still, the swirling surface now flat and quiet, like a pond at dusk. The cracked glass shimmers faintly, no longer threatening, just watching. He holds all 3 petals now. One glows with kindness, another with gentleness, and the last with courage. Together, they pulse in rhythm, a soft golden harmony that seems to echo with the heartbeat of the garden itself. Lyceria glows brighter in his arms, her petals beginning to unfurl with the same rhythm. "It's happening," she whispers. "They're calling me back." The tree of echoes stirs again, its bark creaking like an old door, its amber eyes opening wide. "You have done what few can," it says. "You gave freely, not for reward, not for glory, but because you chose to care." The prince steps forward to the center of the tree's roots, where a small patch of earth glows softly. He kneels and places the 3 petals there. They lift from his hand, rising into the air in a gentle spiral. Light threads connect them, weaving a pattern of stardust and song. Slowly, the petals begin to circle around Lyceria. Her form, still nestled in his palms, begins to shift. Not drastically, not suddenly, but like something slowly waking. The petals press gently into her center, one by one, vanishing into the glow at her heart. With each one, a piece of her returns. I shimmer, a voice full of warmth. "I feel whole." The prince smiles, tears brightening his eyes. "Then let's finish this," he says. Above them, the first blush of dawn whispers through the tunnel, and the curse begins to crack. The tree of echoes groans low and long, like thunder resting on the horizon. Its roots glow brighter, casting gold across the chamber. The cavern breathes with anticipation, and the very air quivers, alive with the soft unraveling of ancient magic. In the prince's hands, Lyceria glows brilliantly now. Her petals no longer just petals, but threads of light and form and memory. Slowly, her shape begins to change. Hand, delicate and warm, reaching upward from the center of the bloom. Fingers unfurl like soft leaves in morning sun, and the light from within her spills outward, painting the prince's face in shades of rose gold. He gasps, not out of fear but wonder. The rose is becoming a girl. Lyceria's voice trembles with joy. I can feel the ground. There. My fingers. She laughs, light and airy like bells on wind. I can feel my heart again. The petals that once held her fold outward and fall like ribbons around her. Her form rises, not as a ghost but as something real and glowing. Her feet touch the soft moss beneath them. Her hair, long and shimmering like woven light, flows around her shoulders. The prince steps back, still holding the lantern, his eyes wide with awe. You're real, he whispers. You're you. Lyceria looks at her hands, her arms, her dress made of starlight and moon petals, and then meets his gaze. You did this, she says. You listened. You stayed. He shakes his head gently. No, you bloomed. I just helped you see it. From above, the last shadows of night begin to lift. The tunnel behind them glows with morning light. The curse has cracked, but the sun has not yet risen fully. There is still one step left. They stand together in the golden hush, where moonlight fades and sunlight waits its turn. The tree of echoes has fallen silent, its bark no longer glowing, its ancient face resting once more. Around them, the moss shimmers gently, as if sighing with relief. Lyceria stands tall now, no longer a flower, not just a dream. She is a girl radiant and real, with skin kissed by starlight and hair like soft threads of dusk. Her eyes, a violet rose hue, blink wide as she takes in the world with a gaze untouched by years of silence. I remember, she says softly. My name. My mother's lullaby. The feel of warm hands holding me when I cried. The wind in my hair before it was taken. Her voice is no longer a whisper, it's music. The prince watches her, quiet and smiling, though tears brim in his eyes. You sound like morning, he says. Lysaria laughs gently, and it echoes, not like a curse, but like sunlight catching in bells. She turns her hands over, as if testing them. Her fingers trail through the mist, and light dances around her fingertips. I was afraid I wouldn't be real anymore. That maybe I was only a dream. The prince shakes his head. Dreams are where truth is born. You were never a dream. You were waiting. They step toward the tunnel's exit together. The earth gives way beneath their feet, the stones rising to form a gentle staircase. Vines pull back, roots uncurl. Path is clear now. At the mouth of the garden, dawn is rising. They pause at the edge. Lysaria reaches out. The prince takes her hand, and with that they step into the light together. The last echo of the curse melts into warmth. The first light of morning spills across the garden like melted gold. Where once the hedges stood stiff and silent, now they sway gently, as though bowing to a long-lost princess. The dew on each petal glitters. Birds begin to sing, shy at first, then louder, as if the sun has granted them permission to welcome her back. Lysaria blinks into the light. Her bare feet touch the grass, and she tilts her head to feel the warmth on her cheeks for the very first time. It's soft, she whispers. I always imagined sunlight would sting. It doesn't, the prince replies, grinning. It sees you, and it's glad you're here. They walk slowly, hand in hand, through the garden where this all began. The glowing rose bush still blooms, but now it bows low, no longer carrying a sleeping heart. The spell that once wrapped this place in stillness has lifted. Everything seems to breathe again. As they pass, flowers open, leaves rustle in greeting. Even the statues look gentler, their cold stones softened by the kindness now rooted in this place. At the center of the path they stop. Lysaria looks up at the prince, her eyes full of quiet wonder. Why did you stay? She asks. He thinks for a moment, then shrugs. Because someone once told me that even the smallest petal can teach you how to hold gently. I wanted to learn. She smiles, and for a moment, the whole garden seems to bloom in response. The sun climbs higher. There is no curse anymore. No glowing petals. No riddles. Just two children standing in the light, finally seen, finally free. They don't speak again. They don't need to. The day holds them gently in its golden hands, and the world begins again. And now, little dreamers. The story is quiet. The sun is high, the garden still blooming, and somewhere, a once cursed rose walks in the light, her laughter blending with birdsong. The prince, once lonely, no longer wanders the halls alone. He found someone, not because he needed a hero, but because he was gentle and true and brave in the quietest ways. Their story doesn't end at sunrise. It begins. But for now, we'll leave them there, under golden skies and rustling leaves, where no one is watching and no spells remain. Just the soft hush of peace, and the feeling that everything is exactly as it should be. You might wonder, as your eyes grow heavy, if magic like that really exists. Well, maybe it does. Maybe it lives in gardens we haven't seen yet, or in whispers we almost heard, or in kindness we haven't given yet. So as your blankets wrap around you like soft petals, let your breath slow. Let your thoughts drift like leaves on the wind. You don't need to search for magic. Sometimes it finds you when you're still, when you're quiet, when you're dreaming. Tonight may you sleep gently. May your heart be seen just as it is. And may the morning light greet you like an old friend. Good night, little one. Sweet dreams.